You decided that you want to move abroad, be that as a digital nomad, as an expat, just to travel the world for a while, doesn't really matter. And in preparation, you start to look at content that relates to travel and living abroad. Of course, everyone does that in the times of not social media, right? And you see all these beautiful pictures and everybody's happy, lying by the beach, working at the beach and whatsoever. Unfortunately, of course, as with anything related to social media, that is only half of the truth. There's a lot of hard things that happen that people don't talk about because nobody wants to show themselves on social media when they're down. And this is what I want to talk about in this video. And let's jump right into it. Are we at number 6 now, I believe? You will get homesick. I mean, again, probably obvious, probably to be expected, but homesickness, you know, it can be tough. You will miss your friends, you will miss your family, you will miss your culture, you will miss your food. So the thing that I currently, or that I have for the many years now missed most about Germany is are certain food items that I would never ever have actually eaten by choice while still in Germany. So traditional German cooking that, you know, before I moved abroad, I really was absolutely not interested in, is now something that when I go to Germany, I feel like, oh, I must have this. So homesickness is a funny thing because all of a sudden it's kind of a sentimental remembrance of your home country, of your roots, of your culture. And here too, I will be making an extensive video about how to deal with homesickness. For now, I can only recommend that, you know, give yourself kindness, reach out to people, try not to be alone, reconnect with people back home. If you have the chance, maybe schedule a visit home, try to find maybe some food from home, try to watch a series or a movie at home. But be aware that homesickness too, like culture shock, is absolutely normal, and be kind to yourself and take care of yourself. I kind of keep losing count of where we are. I think we're at number 7 now. You are far away from home if something happens, at least in most cases. I think that for most, particularly expat digi nomads and travelers, the pandemic has shown this more than any other time. But even before that, be aware, traveling the world is awesome and moving around, meeting different people, meeting new places is fantastic. But be also aware that if you are, you know, if you are, it might, depending on where you are, it might take you a while to get home if there is a reason for you to want to get home quickly. So to give you a personal example, during the pandemic and the lockdown in Germany 2 years ago, my grandmother passed away and I have never had the opportunity either participate in the funeral or even go see the grave, because up till now it was not possible for me to actually travel to Germany and kind of say my goodbyes. And this is something that is tough and that you should be aware of when you travel abroad, that, you know, it is difficult to get, it can be more difficult and it can take more time to get home if you want to or if you have to. One big recommendation here is always have an emergency fund that will enable you and allow you to pay a quick ticket home if that is something that you need to do or want to do. Number 8, also reverting back to culture shock, you could be really rude without knowing it. This goes back to understanding your host country's culture and is something that we've all been doing and without even knowing it or without even intending it. For example, in Sweden, it is absolutely rude to be anything that would be considered confrontational. And by confrontational, I mean having an opinion about something. So in Sweden, if you disagree with somebody, you would never say, oh, I disagree. It's actually, my opinion is this and that. You would say that, yeah, okay, I see. And then you would try to very softly formulate your own opinion, if at all, or ideally you just stay quiet. These are things that, again, being aware of your host country's culture. Every country has different ways of handling things and different unspoken rules, and particularly if you try to stay there, I mean, in the beginning you'll get the tourist bonus or the foreigner bonus, but particularly if you're planning to move somewhere for a longer time period, it is essential for you to learn these expectations and mannerisms in order to not, you know, step on too many toes while you're there. Number 9, you will never ever again see your own country with the same eyes. This is probably something that comes as the biggest surprise to many travelers, nomads, expats when they return home, that their perception of their home, of their culture, of their city, of their friends, of their family has changed because your worldview has changed. Your perception of, you're almost like a foreigner in your own home. You realize weird things that people do in your culture, in your country, and repatriation is actually something like a reverse culture shock. So if you're more interested to that, check articles on reverse culture shock. But there is such a thing as that when you re-enter your own society, that because you have changed so much internally due to your travels, entering and coming back to your own culture is something that is going to take time, and that might actually be quite difficult in the beginning. If you're somebody like me that actually has gotten children abroad, and not only gotten children abroad, but also, you know, raised their children in a foreign country for a certain time. My children are both born in Sweden, and my children don't have my culture. They don't share my culture. My children, even though I do my best to, you know, share certain German traditions with them, particularly holiday traditions, Christmas traditions and whatnot, my children are Swedish. So sometimes it's really weird for me. They're Swedish in their communication, in their expectation. Sometimes it's really weird for me that even between my children and I, there is a cultural gap. Now, luckily, they're so young and, you know, they know me as their mom, so they just know mom's like that. She's just different from all the others. But sometimes there is this awareness of my children having basically a different cultural background than me, and that can at times be difficult to accept. Also, as I said, I have been living abroad for a very long time by now, so I've spent a couple of years moving and repeatedly living abroad, and then now have been living abroad for 15 years consecutively, and I have actually lost some memories of my own culture, I have to say. Somewhere deep in my subconscious, I'm probably still very German, but many things that Germans do now feel a bit weird to me, a bit foreign to me at times, and there's many things that until I read them or hear about them, I have actually forgotten that this is how it used to be in Germany. So in that sense, I suppose I have formed cultural mix, or my new identity or my new culture is a cultural mix of all the places that I've lived in and that I've been to, whereas I have in the process kind of lost a few of my German cultural identities. If that is something that you struggle with or that you wish to absolutely avoid, there is of course ways to, for example, keep in touch with a strong community of your own choosing or of your own culture. On the other hand, I feel that when we travel, we choose to experience the world and new cultures. So if we all kept doing this, maybe we would all get, you know, a little closer to each other, to one another, and breach some gaps that we have in our mind about other cultures and other people. So I suppose if you look at it that way, I choose to see it as a positive thing. Last but not least, I can only recommend, particularly if you are a solo traveler, but even if you travel with a partner or a family, learn to love to be alone. So if you're traveling solo, of course you will have to learn to be alone, because you know you're traveling solo. You will make friends on the road. There's a video here also about, you know, some tips and tricks of how to make friends. You will be making friends, so don't be afraid of that. But even while you're doing that, learning to spend time with yourself, to explore by yourself, to choose certain activities just because you want to do them is actually a very, very healthy thing, and it'll turn your travel experience into, I feel, a much more enriching experience, because you learn about yourself, you learn to just enjoy your own company, but also the sights. You're not maybe necessarily too distracted. You learn to just, you know, spend good quality time by yourself. I, for example, learned how much more enjoyable I find it to go to the cinema by myself than with somebody else. For some reason, I can't tell you. Same as, you know, walking in nature by myself, hiking by myself. I do like to have a hiking partner, it's not that, but I do really also find a whole different level of peace in doing that by myself. And as a couple, if you are traveling or moving abroad as a couple, this I feel is also essential, because of course you will be clinging to each other, particularly in the beginning, to find security and to share the experience together. But on the other hand, you should also be able to spend time by yourself, so that, you know, even the best partnership or marriage has times where you go on each other's nerves, so that then you're not completely devastated because you don't know what to do with yourself. And again, like I said, I think it's a really healthy experience for everyone to be able to be with themselves and by themselves at times. So these were my experiences of aha moments of what happens when you move abroad that I did not expect or know about before moving abroad. If you like them, please give them a thumbs up. Comment below what your biggest surprise was when moving abroad. Click on the notification bell so you know when I upload my next video. It'll be 2 a week. And yes, keep exploring. Bye bye.